Peace and salam. This is Imam Mujahid, and you're watching Muslim Network TV. Muslim Network TV is always there 24/7 on Galaxy 19 satellite, which reaches whole United States, Canada, and Mexico, coast to coast, corner to corner. We are also on Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, uh, Roku, and a whole lot of social media, YouTube included. And we're always there on muslimnetwork.tv, our own website, Muslim Network TV. You saw in my name, Imam. Imam is a Muslim clergy, just like rabbis and priests and pastors. It's an amazing job in America. Imams are in short supply because it doesn't pay a whole lot. Actually, I Google it, how much, a particular profession gets paid. So imams, it came out from below $24,000 to up to $75,000. They get paid, and but the duties are 24/7. And from birth to grave, they're expected to handle everything. And I hope after grave, their job is over and God Almighty's they will be at His mercy. I hope all of us live healthy on the faith and believe in God. And when we pass away in His good hand and with His mercy, achieve success in the everlasting life. But funny things happen. I was visiting Japan, and at 2 a.m., I was awakened because a couple wanted to get married. I just happened to give a sermon during the day before, that people need to get married and things like that, have a relationship with God Almighty, will be pleased with that. So this couple showed up at 2 a.m. It took me a while to understand what's going on, but I made wudu, woke up properly, and I officiated a wedding. So that's the only wedding I have officiated in Japan. So marriage to family counseling, and family counseling, probably most of the imams are not trained for, but they have to do that. According to a sort of a 9-year-old study, 44% of US imams are full-time and paid, whatever payment, but they are paid. With volunteers, about 66% of imams are volunteers in America. And finding an imam which can relate, I mean, we demand a lot from imam. When I see some people approach me to be an imam, and I on a regularly with the masjid, I'm an imam because I'm trained as such. And I do officiate Friday sermons and officiate weddings once in a while. It's not a profession I'm paid for, but I'm trained for. That's why interfaith people started calling imam, and I go along with that. But when people try to recruit, they're looking, amazing thing. They want you to have memorized the whole Quran. You recite in the best possible manner. You know thoroughly Islam and Islamic fiqh. You have the counseling, and your accent is excellent, and preferably you're born and raised in America or Canada. Very demanding indeed. And that's why there are not a whole lot of people who are willing to become an imam, but there are now 5-6 institutions which are trying to train imams in America. So how is the experience of imams in such a high demand? Do they move from here to there and jump from masjid to masjid? Are they getting enough training? Are they satisfied with the knowledge and the training they have to handle? Who are these people? One of the beautiful person I have the honor of meeting multiple times. At one time, he said, "Why don't you sleep in my masjid?" And I accepted that. And that saved me $200-300 of hotel money. But I realized some mosques have small places to stay. Whether their Wi-Fi works or not, that's a separate story. But there are people. And this mosque is a good mosque to talk about and an imam because he is an amir of a major organization. He goes around throughout North America. People consider amir meaning the leader of an organization. He's imam of his own mosque. He's an amazing story how community neighbors oppose that mosque in Warren, Michigan, and how they are able to relate and open up hearts of their neighbors. And of course, unless your hearts are open, you cannot open the hearts of your neighbor. And it's no other than Imam Steve Mustapha Elturk. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good to be with you on this show.
Thank you so much for sparing your time, Imam. I know how busy you are, how busy Imams get to be. Imam Mustapha Turk is president of Islamic Organization of North America. He worked as an electronic engineer for many years before devoting himself to the study and teaching of the Quran. Imam, how is Michigan? I mean, my garden is going down in Chicagoland. Is Michigan gardens are up? Still trees have some leaves left?
First of all, thank you so much for having me on this show, and I appreciate having me on this interview to talk about many things. But regarding the garden here in uh, Michigan and in Detroit in particular, it does not look too rosy, if you know what I mean, in terms of the battle that we are still struggling with the water battle with the city residents of Detroit. Uh,
So
Thank
I
God.
thought it's a problem in Flint, Michigan, but that's a problem in Detroit, Michigan as well.
Well, it always has been a problem in Detroit. Uh, there's a large, significant of residents who are unable to pay their water bills. Their water had been shut off for years, and this battle goes on for many years. But if anything good came out of the COVID 19 and the coronavirus, is a mandate from the governor to turn back on the water to the Detroit residents and to the Flint residents. So that's one good thing came about from the COVID 19. Nevertheless, the struggle goes on. I sit in on the faith committee of the People's Water Board, which is part of the larger movement, the Poor People's Campaign. So we try to do as much as we can here in the city of Detroit to bring justice, water justice, back to the residents. So unless you water the garden, it's not going to grow and have leaves and produce. So we are still struggling to make sure that the residents do get the water that they need, which is, as you know, is essential for our living.
When I was visiting some parts of Detroit, they were pretty rundown areas and building boarded and situation pretty bad. And a person invited me to his home, and it was a brick building, pretty large, 2 floors, a huge yard. And he said he purchased it in, I think, $10,000 or $15,000. Is the situation still that bad in the Detroit city?
It's not as bad as it was a few years ago, as you described, particularly after the meltdown of 2000, financial meltdown that is in 2008. Many of those houses uh, that were run down, obviously for obvious reasons, they could not maintain them. People didn't have jobs, so they had to flee and leave those homes, and they became foreclosure homes. So yes, for some time they were selling for as cheap as pay the taxes that are owed, and then you can have the house for free, basically. So some houses were sold for a few $100s, some for a few $1,000s, and some from our community members, some people were able to buy those houses and turn them into really good homes in the Detroit neighborhood. So I don't see this happening much anymore. I think most of the homes, if not leveled, have been purchased. Yes, you can still drive by and see few homes, but not as you have seen a few years ago. So it's improving.
So Detroit is probably one of those cities which is largely an African American population. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Is that connected with why there is a problem of poverty, which is very acute, and the is that one of the reasons?
That could be one of the reasons. Yes, you may say that. Um, I believe it has more to do with capitalism and taken advantage of, the city, the new vision of the city of Detroit, where they want to bring the white people back into the city and, kind of relive Detroit in its heydays in the 60s. In the 60s, um, I don't remember the exact figure, uh, but the population of Detroit was nearly 2 million. And now it's reduced to about 600,000 or 650,000 people who live in Detroit. So there's this plan to revive and rejuvenate Detroit and bring the suburbans back into Detroit. That's why you find places like the casinos and places where they have these big hotels, the Cobo Center, which you have been in that center, being renovated to attract all of those exhibitions from big corporations and make Detroit more or less a white city.
Hmm. So one of the thing Detroit came into news was that Palestinian American Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, who won only with 900 votes first time, this time won with a landslide, and that constituency is 60% black population, and she was fighting, competing with a one leader of the black community itself. So
Correct.
how did that happen? I mean, is she a good representative, or black community feels that she can support them better than the black leader themselves? I mean, it shows a different dynamic. In Chicago area, if it's a black constituency 60%, it will always be a black who will be elected. How this thing happened? What is the thinking process in the city there?
We do have crisis in the city of Detroit and the regions near Detroit also, where black people mainly inhabit those cities and districts. Rashida Tlaib, I know personally, she is very dynamic and she's really true to her word. And she believes in the people and bringing justice to the people. As you know, Rashida Tlaib is not afraid to speak truth to power. She had been pulled out from.
And she has a particular language to speak truth to the power also.
That is true too. I may not agree with her approach, if you know what I mean. Nevertheless, she was able to convince the people in Detroit that she's the candidate that can take their causes to the power that be and address them, and she did so. The community, the Detroit community, the black community, are fed up, if you will, for a lack of a better expression, of the rhetoric of black candidates, if you know what I mean, because it's always been the status quo, if you know what I mean.
Okay, so we'll take a short break. When we come back, I like to make a transition towards, the city of Warren, where you're based and your mosque is there. You have been part of church, police, and city committee. Has the attitude of were you able to influence the attitude of police towards the minorities, especially the black people? You're watching Muslim Network TV on Galaxy 19 satellite, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, and Muslim Network.tv. We'll be right back after these messages.
My wife, she's a professor at the University of Cincinnati, who's Catholic, and by her watching and listening to our 3-year-old son watch Adam's World, she ended up taking Kalima Shahada. She embraced Islam because she learned so much about Islam and the other prophets. It really affected our life in a great way, and because of Sound Vision and Adam's World, we're Muslims.
I took my Shahada 15 years ago, and I actually am from a rural part of Ohio. And so I found the catalog for Sound Vision, and I ordered the tapes and the CDs and the books, and I used those, and especially for my little daughter, that's how we basically learned our Islam, and Islam entered our hearts through the wonderful works of Sound Vision.
Okay, assalamu alaikum, brother. I just want you to know that I love the Sound Vision website, that a lot of times when I'm looking for information, especially as it relates to homelessness, domestic violence, and women issues, I go to that website, and then I see what you've written, and then I copy and paste it, and spread the word, because the wisdom is there, so I can't do any better than what Sound Vision has already done.
Sound Vision is our survival guide. It is the organization that provides skills for Muslims how to survive and thrive in this community here in the U.S.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Anam, I'm in 11th grade, and I grew up with Adam's World, and what it taught me was unity, respect, and love for the Muslim Ummah.
Adam's World is the greatest show ever made. Take me to the Kaaba, man. I love that puppet.
Assalamu alaikum! Open up your eyes.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, it's your brother Zain Bika from South Africa. One of the first educational programs ever produced for Muslim children was the ever popular Adam's World series. The colorful and comical Muslim puppet stole the heart of a generation. Sound Vision will be releasing brand new episodes of Adam's World with the launch of a Adam's World app. Subscribers will enjoy new Adam's World episodes as they are released, as well as all the classic episodes of Adam's World. So visit adamsworldapp.com now to learn more, subscribe, and enjoy new adventures of Adam and his friends. And let's keep helping tomorrow's Muslims today. Assalamu alaikum.
Adam's World. Believe me, there's a lot to see. Bismillah. Let's explore.
Welcome back to Muslim Network TV. This is Imam Mujahid, and I'm talking with Amir Mustapha Elturk from Warren, Michigan area. So when you were serving at church, police, city, CPC type of a committee, What are you together able to influence the behavior of police, or you are serving more as an outreach arm of police?
Before we talk about the CPC, the Church Police City Committee in the city of Warren, let me just give you a brief background to our center here in the city of Warren. We purchased our building back in 2005 in the hope we turn it into a mosque. It used to be a plaza. We were fiercely opposed by the city uh, uh, planning commission board and the residents. Uh, uh, we went so far to have the Department of Justice from DC to be working with us to make sure that our rights are um, protected and we have our mosque here. To make a long story short, eventually, by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we prevailed and we got what we wanted. But it was such a big challenge then to me and to my community. It was okay, now we know that Warren is a racist city. We know we got what we wanted, but unless we turn those hearts into, hearts that accept uh, our, their neighbors, which would be the Muslim community, we're going to have problems for a long time. And this is when, Alhamdulillah, the guidance we have from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is such a great guidance. We should always live by the example of the Prophet because you will never go wrong. That's when it occurred to me that I need to reach out to the leaders of the community, particularly the interfaith, and work together for basically the restoration of freedom, equality, and justice. And the example we have is when the Prophet, peace be upon him, went to Al Medina, and then in Al Medina he made alliances and treaties and so on and so forth. So that was the inspiration that I had from the Sirah. I connected with the clergy who were batting for us at the time when we were fighting our cause in the meetings, in the public hearing meetings. And we talked about the city and the people and the residents and the racism that exists for a long time. By the way, Warren is known to be a racist city for a long time, but things are changing. Thank God to the people who are behind changing the city. At any rate, we, as an interfaith community, decided to bring to the attention of the residents and also the city and also the school districts the importance of inclusivity. So we approached this from a three-pronged approach. We first, what would you say, promote those ideals of freedom, equality, and justice among the clergy in the churches. We don't have synagogues here, and certainly there were no mosques. So basically through the churches, and then the second prong is through the school districts where we would meet with the superintendents and share the document that we eventually produced, Interfaith Covenant for Freedom, Equality, and Justice. But the school district, as you know, they are the public schools, obviously, they are secular. They did not like the religious overtones of the document that we produced for the clergy, for the churches. So we had to secularize, so to say, the document, and we called it Community Covenant for Freedom, Equality, and Justice. And then the third prong was to take this to the mayor. ironically, the mayor who led the opposition, he was the city council president then, but then later on he became the mayor, and the mayor became a really good friend of the community thanks to the efforts of all the people that worked so hard to change his outlook on this particular issue and racism. So the city council produced actually eventually a resolution upholding the American core values of freedom, equality, and justice. And if I can read to you very quickly, uh, you know how resolutions go, whereas, and now, therefore, let it be resolved that the City of Warren City Council stands together in support of freedom, equality, and justice, and to speak out against prejudice, discrimination, and violence, works together for the betterment of our entire community, promotes nonviolence, justice, and respect for all, supports all local governments, police, schools, businesses, congregations, and nonprofit organizations' efforts to protect the rights of all people, and supports the idea of community events to build bridges of understanding, relationships, and trust among people of different cultures and faith traditions. So
So
that
when
was
you
quite
got
an
this
accomplishment.
thing going, so you open up, and that's how you landed on the CPC.
Exactly, and that's how I.
Anti-police.
As a matter of fact, the CPC was not in existence then. The mayor envisioned this idea to have the church and the police and the city, all these people come together and talk about whatever issues that either clergy or city leaders or the police have in the city.
Tell
So
me,
I was on the steering committee actually before it came into being as church police
tell
city.
me, Ma'am, we need to. I got a lot of things to ask you. How come you, being an electronic engineer, you left that profession and dedicated yourself to learning Quran and teaching Quran? I mean, you could be a teacher of the Quran and learn it while being electronic engineer. Why fight? I mean, Quran doesn't prohibit electronic engineering, does it?
No, but the Quran inspires you to think and reflect about everything. Anyway, this is a long story, but I'll try to be as brief as I can. When I came to the United States, I came as a student, very young, 21 years old, left back home because of the Civil War that began in 1975. I landed in Detroit
So you mean from Lebanon?
from
Lebanon,
Lebanon,
where the
yes.
Civil War was.
Back home is Lebanon. I forgot that I'm speaking to viewers. I
Right.
know you know I'm from Lebanon, but at any rate, yeah, I came from Lebanon. The Civil War began in 1975. I wanted to continue my education.
Okay, ma'am. I don't want to get into civil war. Tell me why you left and went to the Quran.
Well, that's part of the story. Is when I came here, I came to study, and I did. I started with electronics engineering. I ended up with computer science degree, but my profession was in the electronics business. So I worked as an electronics engineering consultant for a long time. Now, I lived a secular life. When I came to the United States, my parents were pretty much secular. So
Well,
I
with
was,
secular, you mean they were not practicing
they
Islam.
were not practicing Islam, exactly.
Secular to me
Although,
as a political scientist has a different meaning.
oh, okay.
They're not practicing faith, you mean?
Well, they're not practicing the faith, yes. So when I came to the United States, I was more into not necessarily religion. I was more into education and my hobby, music, and all that. So I worked as an electronics engineer for a long time. However, there were few things that always bothered me ever since I was a kid, and that was my identity. I've always questioned my identity. I would not accept that I'm here just to make money and live the life. There's a higher purpose behind my existence. So I kept searching and searching and searching. And after my divorce from my former wife, this is when it hit me the most. I had 3 children from her. Then I realized that, of course, although I was not practicing, but I had faith. I mean, I believe in God. I believe in the hereafter. I believe in Judgment Day. So my former wife is Catholic. So it hit me right there and then. On the day of judgment, I will be asked, what have you done with your kids? What did you do? So this is where my struggle with religion began. And this is when I realized that no, I need to, before I even find out what my identity is, I need to save my kids. So that's when I made a deal with God, actually. I said, okay, you give me the kids, and you know how hard it is in the United States to gain custody of children when mothers are available. So by the grace of Allah, I was able to get their custody and, sent them to a Sunday school. I was learning with them. As they were learning, they would memorize Quran. I would have to memorize so I don't look like a hypocrite. And that's where the journey began. I started going to the mosque. And that's when at one point I walked into the mosque I used to go to, the IAGD, Islamic Association of Greater Detroit, you know, the masjid in Rochester Hills. And there was Dr. Israr Ahmed, whom I revere and consider my teacher and mentor, really, talk about the very subjects that I'm really interested in, my identity, which I never heard from any imam before. We focus on the form, we focus on wudu, we focus on salah and siyam and all this. But
So that's how you turn towards Quran.
that's how I turned toward the Quran. He really helped me appreciate a treasure that is so hidden from the people. We have it, it's in every home, but we don't realize how valuable that treasure is. At least for me, I didn't until
So
I
that's how
started.
you started learning Quran and Islam, and that's how you became an imam.
Well, eventually, yes. I joined Dr. Israr Ahmed's movement, Tanzim Islami. Back then, he had a branch over here in the United States. TINA, it's called TINA. Actually, it started in Chicago, in Villa Park. Their headquarters was in Chicago. So that's when I became more interested to learn more from Dr. Israr Ahmed. And then I met him. I joined his organization, his movement. And then slowly I got promoted to becoming a director of education and training. And in 2003, I was appointed as the Emir of the Islamic Organization of North America. I became a formal imam in 2007 when we opened up our mosque, our center, Islamic Center, in the city of Warren. Prior to that, I was just given sermons and lectures throughout the United States and Canada.
Thank you. You're watching Muslim Network TV. We'll be right back after these messages.
What was it like when you started this network out, when you started Sound Vision those many years ago?
You know, after 9/11, one lady called me and she says, what is your channel which I can watch? And I say, I'm sorry, we don't have a channel. And you know what she said? She said, then how America will know about you?
SubhanAllah. Anything you want to say to the people who are watching? We had one sister who messaged that she grew up on Sound Vision. What do you say to the people who have been long supporters?
Thank you. Thank you. It is because of you we are able to do all of that. So the generation of Adam's world, you need to take it over for the next generation. And that's my invitation to you. So keep telling everybody where to watch. They can watch it on Galaxy 19 satellite, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, or easy thing, muslimnetwork.tv, or our YouTube channel, or our Facebook channel. And with your help, inshallah, ladies, the one who called me, what channel should I watch Muslims on? Answer is here and now.
Assalamu alaikum. Open up your eyes.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, it's your brother Zain Bika from South Africa. One of the first educational programs ever produced for Muslim children was the ever popular Adam's World series. The colorful and comical Muslim puppets stole the heart of a generation. Sound Vision will be releasing brand new episodes of Adam's World with the launch of a Adam's World app. Subscribers will enjoy new Adam's World episodes as they are released, as well as all the classic episodes of Adam's World. So visit adamsworldapp.com now to learn more, subscribe and enjoy new adventures of Adam and his friends. And let's keep helping tomorrow's Muslims today. Assalamu alaikum.
Adam's world. Believe me, there's a lot to see. Bismillah. Let's explore.
Welcome back to Muslim Network TV. This is Imam Malik Mujahid. I'm talking with Imam Mustapha Elturk. Imam, what is the most funny thing which you faced as an Imam?
Oh, I don't know. I have to think about that. Most funny
You
thing.
have too many challenges to remember funny stuff, huh?
Yeah, really.
So tell me, what is the most difficult thing which you faced as an Imam?
Wallahi, the most difficult thing, there are so many challenges. As you know, you're an imam, and we know how difficult it is to lead a community, particularly in our case. One thing I want to mention here is, and I take pride in that, and I boast about this too, because typically you don't see that in other masajid. Our masjid is very diverse and very inclusive. One morning, I counted at Fajr time 13 congregants behind me with 11 different nationalities. So that's something, and that was one of the aims that we had when we opened up our center here in Detroit, is how to make it inclusive. Not a Pakistani masjid, not an Arab masjid, not this masjid. And by the grace of Allah, we were able to do that. We succeeded. However, that comes with many challenges. And of course, some of the challenges is keeping the community together. Some of the challenges is dealing with the issue of the youth. The youth is a big challenge for us, as you know, with the social media and now with the legalized marijuana here in Michigan.
You know, I have a funny story to tell you about marijuana.
Yes.
About a couple of young people, all of them Hafiz of the Quran, approached an Imam in California. Is it okay if we have some marijuana before we lead Taraweeh? Because it allows us to be very focused and we do a better job. So marijuana being legal, some people are thinking it's becoming halal also at the same time.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's why we need to educate our congregations.
So you have been co-chair of Imam Council of the Michigan Muslim community. Uh, do you experience there are in Detroit area, has there been any case in which of quote unquote bad imams? Well, not there's no reason for being quote unquote. They're a good human being, bad human being, good Muslim, bad Muslim. I mean, in clergy abuse has been a big in the news because of the Catholic child abuse cases. Have you noticed any cases of this nature in Michigan area?
First of all, I'm no longer the co-chair of the Imams Council. In 2018, we elected Sheikh Muhammad Al-Masmari, who's the Imam of the Unity Center, to be the co-chair or the president of the Imams Council. But I led the Imams Council for 10 years at least. We have on the council nearly 30 imams. I have not had any experience with any of the imams that are on the council to call them bad imams or whatever. However, there are imams who are not part of the imams council. Actually, I'll talk about some imams on the imams council, at least of two, who were um, who were who have influenced the SAC, the special agent in charge then in 2010 of the FBI for the assassination of Imam Luqman. That I did not appreciate at all from two imams in our imams council. And when we had the meeting after the assassination of Imam Luqman, uh, Andy Arena, who was the SAC back then, in front of all the imams who were present when we had that special meeting demanding explanation for his death, he says that two imams from your council have given him, whatever opinion they had on Imam Luqman. So that I do not appreciate at all. After all, Imam Luqman was an imam who led a congregation in the city of Detroit. And we spoke about Detroit earlier, how it's run down and it's very challenging to, to live in Detroit, let alone lead a community in poverty, a community that is, breaking up. But at any rate, so that's one bad experience. I have a feeling who they are, but I don't know. I can't prove that.
So there are people who, but in reference to in America, there has been some cases in which people have been accused of taking advantage of that. So are there some measures because of that news? One came from Greater Chicago area, some news from Texas. Has the Council of Imam taken certain steps, some guidelines, how clergy could be careful?
We have not had any major crisis coming from an imam like you did in Chicago, fortunately. However, other things from imams or teachers of Quran have happened in our community. And I'm really, I'm sorry to say that, but I'm really fed up with so many mosques and communities that are being built on every corner, competing with one another, and knowing very well, I know personally a few individuals who started a Quran Academy and a masjid who were cheating other, communities in terms of money and taking their money, having their own bank account and depositing whatever supposedly for that community in their own bank account. These things are happening. And it's so sad to see this because it reflects bad on our community. Uh, I'll bring in something. It's not the imams, but I will not be surprised if imams do that. As a matter of fact, one person, I'm not going to mention names here, who had started a mosque is in jail, and I go see him every time I get the chance in a federal prison because of fraud. So you tell me, how are we as imams leading a community on the path of righteousness when those individuals themselves have no fear of God? So I'm really upset about our condition, and
Okay.
I don't know what to do about it, honestly.
So tell me something. Give me three good things which is happening in the community in North America or Michigan. I mean, we are so self-critical of ourselves. Of course, Muslims are human beings at the same time. But what are the good things happening which you notice?
Oh, that's a very good question. Questions like this would require me to think because we are in so
Well,
many.
I will share one good things which I have
Please.
noticed. About 20, 30 years ago, if something need to be written down, community will approach me, oh, Brother Mujahid, Imam Mujahid, could you write down this thing? Now I see a lot of people are writing. I mean, writers in our community are increasing in numbers. I noticed that. And there are people who are publishing books and articles. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do agree with that. As a matter of fact, since 9/11, the American Muslim community has outgrown itself. And I'm really happy about that. Many institutions have come up, CARE, ISPU, among so many other organizations that are needed so badly. Another good thing happened is uh, the fight for justice is now taken up by the second and third generation. It's no longer the immigrants. So the new generations, our kids who are born here, are taking up those challenges, and I'm very happy to see that. The third thing I see, which I did not see before, is we became politically active. We weren't before 9/11 as active as we have become, and that's good. We have Muslims who are running for local governments, state government, and also at the federal level. So those are good signs. However, I tell you one thing: God bless all of those efforts that are happening. But if we want to serve our cause, the Islamic cause, which is justice, I think every every Muslim, conscious Muslim, who is doing whatever they are doing, at whatever capacity they are doing, need to build their faith and iman in Allah and in the Akhirah, and serve the cause, not for selfish motives, but for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And inshallah ta'ala, we will prevail. Justice will come.
So, is that one of the reason that you are part of so many coalition? I was looking at your resume. You have coalition after coalition and poor people's movement. Is that one of the motivation which you have? That
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, every time I have an opportunity to be part of a coalition or a movement that is upholding the values of justice and freedom, yeah, I join it. And not only to join it for the sake of joining, because I believe in the cause of humanity, but also to introduce the great ideals that we have in the Quran. You know, I received my master's in 2018 in social justice. And I was amazed. Well, it shouldn't be amazed. It should not be. It should not come as a surprise. But when we talk about the issues of justice in our classes, where most, if not all, with the exception of one professor who was a Muslim, the rest were non-Muslims. And those non-Muslim professors were not just your ordinary professors, they were scholar activists. So we learned so much from them, but at the same time, they learned so much from us, from the Quran and the Sunnah, what justice is, and our ideals and beliefs. So every time I have an opportunity, I definitely share this legacy that we have from the Quran and the Sunnah.
So I didn't know there is a master's program in social justice. I mean, who offers that?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Mary Grove College was the first one to start this program 20 years ago, or nearly after 9/11, in the world. And I'm proud to be a graduate of that college and that program.
Maybe you should offer yourself a course in social justice for, I mean, non-degree course, that is, because the whole lot of people cannot spare a whole time to do master's program, but there must be extraordinary skills they can learn through that. So you were treasurer of Interfaith Leadership
Leadership
Council
Council.
in Detroit
Metropolitan.
or Michigan.
Right.
Does Interfaith have a lot of money? I mean, Interfaith is some area in which Muslim participate the most. And I learned that when Jewish people were facing challenges in the society in 1930s, almost a century ago, they started up more than 80 different interfaith programs throughout the country, and NCCJ was one of the known and is still surviving in some places. So does this thing has money? I mean, you were treasurer. How many $1 million budget you had?
No, it's a myth. At least the interfaith, I was on the board of the Interfaith Leadership Council, Metropolitan Detroit, the one you just mentioned, IFLC, as a treasurer from its inception until I left. I left in 2018. So I'm no longer the treasurer there. I was also and presided the Interfaith Center for Racial Justice in Macomb County, where the city of Warren is. And I can tell you from these two organizations that I was involved with, they're poor organizations. We strive on donations, and we don't have any money coming from any other source. So at least those organizations that I really respect a lot are not rich as you may have imagined. On the contrary, we, strive on, or we ask for donations to keep us afloat and continue doing the work. We do have, like Muslim organizations, once a year a banquet to raise funds for the programs that we have. So no, it is a myth to think that all of them, maybe the larger ones, yes, maybe shoulder to shoulder of ISNA. I have no idea. Maybe they have a big budget, but not the ones I'm involved with. I need to make a correction here. I graduated in 2019, last year, not in 2018.
Okay, well, that's a major correction for us.
Quite
Tell me, what are the things which you like Muslims to keep in mind when they're engaged in interfaith work?
In interfaith work, what I would like them to think about and always keep in mind that the work of interfaith work is the work of collective justice. I often tell even the interfaith people when I'm given speeches in their churches or whatever, I say, faith is a personal matter. It's between me and God. However, the work for justice is a collective matter. All of us are involved in upholding the justice and all of the things that go along with it, freedom and equality and things of that sort. So that's what I advise everybody who's working with interfaith. Prior to 9/11, I really had a distaste of the interfaith then, because back then all of the interfaith programs that I attended where the Muslims want to, so to say, convert the Christians to Islam. The Christians wants to convert the Muslims to Christianity, and the Jewish community want you to sympathize with what happened to them in Germany. So it's always been like that, and thank God, at least after 9/11. Victor Ghalib Beg had a lot to do with changing that, as a matter of fact, because he worked a lot with the interfaith. As a matter of fact, he was on the board of the IFLC, and he was part of the interfaith partners prior to becoming IFLC through CCJJ, and now I think it is called MRDI, Michigan Roundtable for Diversity and Inclusion.
So how interfaith people, the last question, we have just 1 minute left. How interfaith people are taking the great peace deal with President Trump has negotiated between United Arab Emirates and Israel, and now Bahrain.
Yeah, frankly speaking, I have not discussed this with any of the interfaith people that I know. I don't know how they took that. I can tell you probably the Jewish community are very happy about that. But we know that, this peace treaty, and ironically, it was not a surprise to hear that Mr. Trump is nominated for the Peace Nobel Prize, which is a joke, by the way. But yeah, I guess I guess he will get it. But at any rate, they've been working together for a long time behind the curtains, and now it's just in front of everybody now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
thank you so much, Imam Amir Mustapha Elturk, for your. I know there is a whole lot we couldn't talk about but maybe some other time. And Imam Mustapha Elturk is a imam of a masjid in Michigan, and also president of Islamic Association of North America. And you're watching Muslim Network TV on Galaxy 19 satellite, which goes to Canada, Mexico, and whole United States, as well as other places. Our website is muslimnetwork.tv. And thank you, Dr. Abdul Wahid and Sher Dil Khan, for producing today's show. Peace. Salam.